Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, so last week we had a long week. We ranked the projected starters in every Power 5 conference, plus in the Group of 5 and Independents. And now we're going to lump them all together, and we're just going to give you the 15 best quarterbacks in the country heading into 2021. Be sure to subscribe if you like the show. We're going to have tons more preview content coming out this summer. Turn on notifications so you'll be notified of all those episodes. But Trey, let's start out with number 15 here. And this was a group effort, so we're all to blame here in the comments below.
Yes,
Sound
it's
off.
all our fault.
That's right. All right. Well, I'll take it away with number 15. We have Jaden Daniels of Arizona State. I mean, he's so gifted. I will say, though, I preface, I'm a little worried about the kind of surrounding noise, the scandal for Arizona State at the moment, but kind of keeping the blinders on. He's definitely one of the top Pac-12 quarterbacks and one of the top ones in the nation. He had 9 touchdowns in only the 4 games they played last year. Dual threat. He's made their offense look better. It's gotten better the last couple years. It even towards the end of the year looked otherworldly in the last 2 games, albeit against some lower competition, Arizona and Oregon State. But he's got a 22-3 touchdown to interception ratio in his career. There's a lot to like about this ASU team going into this year if the dust kind of settles from the surrounding noise, but I understand that's a big if.
Yep, yeah, definitely a fan of Jayden Daniels. All right, moving on to number 14. A little bit of a surprise here. Dustin Crum from Kent State. You look at his year last year, I know it was only 4 games, but statistically, efficiency-wise, one of the best years of all time. But if you don't want to buy that, go back to the year before, and it was another really, really good year. Dual threat guy, does it through the air really, really well. Also a really good runner, and he's kind of revived that Kent State program. They were both so bad for so long, and he's just kind of taken it here and just been honestly incredibly good. So I got to give him a lot of credit for it, and I think he's deserving of a top 15 national QB ranking here.
Indeed. All right. Number 13, we've got Central Florida's Dillon Gabriel. He was already productive with Heupel as his coach early in his career. And I just have a feeling that Gus Malzahn won't play it close to the vest like he did towards the end in his regime at Auburn. He might open it back up a little bit more since the offense with Gabriel is so talented. But Gabriel, his stats alone, 32 touchdowns to 4 interceptions last year. Pretty astounding. That's why we have to have him pretty high on our list here.
Yep, how we do. All right, moving on to number 12, we have Malik Willis from Liberty, maybe the most electric quarterback in the country. Had an amazing year last year, beat Coastal Carolina in their last game. Just the best season Liberty's ever had. He had nearly 1,000 yards rushing, great dual threat, good with the deep balls. He carried that team. So much fun to watch. And I think, he's arguably one of the top G5 QBs and even nationally.
Yeah. Independent, technically, Ryan. Going to get you there.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
I see what you're saying. Non-Power 5. Moving on to number 11. From my USC Trojans, we have Keaton Slovis. He had an amazing freshman year, so we've seen that he's capable of being great, super efficient. Last year, statistically a little bit down. I think it was still a good year overall. I think he was probably first team all Pac-12, but I think there's some excuses with O-line really not helping him out last year. Came into the season with maybe a nagging elbow injury, so we'll see if he kind of revives that first year prowess that he had. Then I think 11th is a good slot for him.
No doubt.
He makes like 1 or 2 holy crap throws every game.
Yeah, I know.
He does.
Number 10, and he's clutch as hell. Number 10, Brock Purdy of Iowa State. And he's kind of tough when you're making a list like this because he doesn't put up these monster numbers in games, but he's just very consistent and very good. He's been a program changer for the Cyclones. He was really a play away last year from winning the Big 12 championship, but he did lead them to a dominant Fiesta Bowl victory. He finished first in the conference in completions. In his career, he's completed 2/3 of his passes, 8.5 yards per attempt since he's been a Cyclone. Like, he also has if you look at it in terms of the team around him, he's got one of the best running backs in the country, Breece Hall, that's going to alleviate and take some of the pressure off of him. And then, not to mention, he's also got probably the best tight end in the country, Charlie Kolar. He has had some moments of inconsistency, but his track record is super impressive.
All right, moving on to number 9, we've got C.J. Stroud of Ohio State. And, I'm sure someone will complain that he's never even thrown a college pass, but whoever starts at Ohio State, I just feel like automatically belongs in the top 10. Look what Ryan Day did with Dwayne Haskins, then Justin Fields. So, C.J. Stroud, highly recruited guy. He's going to have elite coaching with elite receivers to throw to. That just fosters a pretty good environment for a quarterback to thrive in. And I think by the end of the year, we'll all consider him a top 10 quarterback.
Yep, I got to agree with that one. All right, let's move on to number 8 here. Grayson McCall for Coastal Carolina, the man that was in charge of the magical season there for Coastal. 26 touchdowns to 3 picks. Just, he could do it all. He could do it through the air. He can do it on the ground. And he can just come up with these magical moments and just clutch plays. He was the face of that team. And it was crazy just because of how he was just a freshman, right? I mean, to have that great of a year as a freshman, and we didn't even expect him to be the starter. Just unbelievable. We saw him all the way from Kansas and then finishing up against Liberty in an amazing game. Just, it was the story of 2020.
Yep. Number 7, we've got De'Aaron King from Miami. This one is tough because if I knew he were healthy, then he might even belong a few slots higher on this list because we've seen him put up insane stats at Houston in the G5, go over to Miami and take an offense that had been well below average and made them pretty solid. So I love him, but he had that ACL tear in the bowl game. We're still giving him a lot of respect having him 7th, but I don't know. There's some downside there. 7th could be high if he's not fully healthy.
No doubt. Number 6, we've got Jayden Daniels of Georgia. He was coming off of an injury the year before, but I'm biting on what Daniels was selling at the end of last year, even though I know it wasn't against truly outstanding competition, but he was clutch in the Peach Bowl versus Cincinnati. He made that Georgia offense look night and day better and than what they were in the first half of the year. And now the team as a whole will be in the second year of Monken's system. I think with the running back stable around him, he'll be able to have some of that pressure taken off of him and could lead Georgia, of course, to a big year.
All right, sticking in the SEC for number 5, we have Matt Corral of Ole Miss. Put up monster numbers in year 1 under Lane Kiffin. Very efficient, very good runner as well, so that's a nice aspect to his game. The only thing that keeps him from being higher on this list, and maybe some people would argue should drop him lower on the list, was just a couple of blow-up games. He is a gunslinger, and sometimes that results in a lot of picks. But if he's able to kind of reduce that a little bit, even if he doesn't, he's still really good, still led a great offense. But I would think he'll get better second year as a starter. So that's why top 5 for us.
Yep, he's a big play man, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to number 4, Bryce Young from Alabama. For a kid that hasn't really played, it seems kind of high, but it's hard to bet against that Alabama train. And him, and as far as just he was the number 2 overall recruit a couple years back. So, I mean, an insanely talented kid with insane talent around him. He does lose the Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver, but they still have great receivers coming up in the wing. So it's kind of just a bet that, hey, Alabama's going to keep churning. They've proved it, and this kid is the best recruit that they've had of those bunches. So there's no reason why he won't just step in and be. He might, like Michael mentioned before, he might have a couple of freshman mistakes, kind of like Spencer Rattler did this past year. But I mean, he's still going to be really, really good.
All right, number 3 on our list is DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson. Another former 5-star recruit, and last year we saw more of him. That's really the only reason he's slotted in ahead of Bryce Young is we saw him start a couple of games against Boston College, against Notre Dame, and he played extremely well. It wasn't his fault that they lost to Notre Dame. So there's just no doubts. Like if he's healthy, he's going to be good.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 2, we have Spencer Rattler of Oklahoma. You could have had him at number 1. He's one of the Heisman favorites. He started off a little slow, like Ryan, you just touched on, but man, he matured quickly, and the Sooners rattled off 8 wins in a row to end the season, including a Big 12 title and a Cotton Bowl win. He led the Big 12 in numerous statistical categories. He's only going to continue to thrive in Lincoln Riley's system, which he's obviously proven that. And it'll be the first time since Lincoln Riley's been the head coach at Oklahoma that he'll have the same starting quarterback 2 years in a row. So that's kind of scary to have some experience under that system and then do a year 2. But he was electric last year, also a threat on the ground. So an easy top 2 or 3 choice for our list.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, we're moving on to number 1. We have Sam Howell from North Carolina. He was unreal. He's been unreal the last couple of years, especially last year. Just unbelievable numbers. This year, going to have to do it with a new supporting cast. I'm very interested to see how his numbers and stats kind of stack up because of all the new folks that he's going to have to be working with. But he's proven it. He's carried them. He's been efficient. He's been smart with the ball. Led the big play drives, big play left and right. So, I mean, if you're not sold at this point on Sam Howell, then I don't know if anything he's going to do this year will sell you again. So.
Yeah.
He's great.
He has led that North Carolina revival. And it was kind of between Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell, at least on all of our lists. Ryan, you and I sided with Sam Howell at number 1. Yeah. Trey had Rattler first. Splitting hairs. If I had to bet who would have better stats, I would go with Rattler.
Yes.
Just because of the more continuity. You got Marvin Mims as top receiver back. So, but trying to kind of adjust for the situations they're in, I just slightly preferred Howell.
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, so who's the biggest snub from your list, from your individual list that didn't make our group top 15?
Okay, well, I might steal it from you guys, but the 2 highest I had that I believe were Emory Jones and Desmond Ridder. There's a few guys on this list that we're banking on the system and the offense to lead with no historical, like Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and deservedly so. But Mullen in Florida, they continue to churn out productive quarterbacks. So I could easily see Emory Jones cracking the top 15. And then Ridder, he doesn't really scare opposing defenses, with his passing prowess, but he has improved in that regard. And he's a major threat on the ground, 6 yards per carry with 12 scores on the ground last year, and he's a winner.
Yeah, that's fair. Emory Jones especially. It's kind of unfortunate. I think he might have been 16th on our group list.
It's tough down there.
Of anyone that's not in the top 15, I think he has the best chance to finish top 5.
Yeah.
Like that ceiling is huge there. So Florida fans, if you're watching this, we're not low on Emory Jones. Maybe he should have been ranked here, but it wouldn't shock me at all if he has a monster year. But a couple guys I had on my list were Malik Cunningham was 14th on my personal list, and Michael Penix was 16th from Indiana. So no major issues with them not being there, but that's where I slotted them.
Yeah, Michael Penix, I mean, what do you have him in the Big Ten? Like maybe the second best quarterback, and he's not even anywhere near this. For me, he wasn't near the top 15, so it's just
Big Ten is a weak slate of quarterbacks overall.
So, I think I said that. But for me, I had Phil Dracovic up there in my personal top 15. And I also had Carson Strong from Nevada at 15th. So Phil Dracovic from BC and Carson Strong from Nevada were a couple two that, I think have a legit, at least, argument to be in here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is so tough to make this list. Like, There's a lot of good quarterbacks. So let us know in the comments below. Most overrated, underrated, biggest snub. We'd love to hear that. We'll be down in the comments responding. And thank you for watching.
Oh, I'm going to say one thing, Mike. If you're going to
one more thing.
If you're going to leave a comment saying, how do you not include X player? Tell us who you're going to replace him with, Be like, hey, you got to give us who you're going to drop. Okay. So I don't know. That grinds my gears when I see that.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Well, you heard the man. But again, I thank you for watching all of these episodes. If you haven't already checked out those other conference ranking episodes, be sure to check those out. And be sure to subscribe. I've mentioned this throughout this series, but we recorded this episode, as you're seeing it, probably like a week and a half ago. If we're not at 1,000 subscribers by now, I'm going to flip out. I am going to freak out because that's outrageous.
Putting a lot of work for this.
We're so close. Oh, man. If we put in all this work and we can't even get 1,000, I'm hanging it up. You know what? If we're not at 1,000 after this episode, I'm hanging it up. I'm done.
College Football Bros are gone.
Done with this. We're done.
We're going to lose subscribers now.
No, hopefully we will those subscribers. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we will talk to you next week. See ya.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.